Jaguar's new baby is here. This is their entry-level car. It was launched at the Auto Expo, and the XC only comes with petrol variants. So we thought we'd put it up against its strongest rival, the C-Class petrol. Let's see if it can rise up to the challenge. Put together, both cars have distinct identities of their own. Whilst the Jag has a slinky, sporty design with its long bonnet and coupe-like roofline that ends almost at the end of the car, the Merc has a more classic sedan style. Both cars carry their family genetics, with the XC imitating the XJ and the C-Class carrying a lot of the S-Class. The big cat has a lot of subtle design cues that draw you in, like the taut muscular lines, the J-blade LED lamps, the sporty chrome side vent, and the tail lamps that borrow from the old E-Type. The C-Class is a little more flashy with really intricate LED headlamps and tail lamps, the large three-pointed star on the grille, and the many chrome embellishments. They're both different, but each one has their own charm. On the inside too, they're very different. The novelty in this segment, really, this gear lever that rises out of the central console, typically Jag style, but it's something new for this segment. And apart from that, basically it's an uncluttered, simple interior where quality is really good. You've got nice two-tone leather coloring across the dash. You've got a shiny, glossy black along the central console. And of course, what I really love is this cowl that runs along the dash and around the door, sort of holding you into this cabin, making it feel like a cockpit. Whilst the Jag comes across feeling sporty and stylish, the Merc's cabin reeks of luxury and class. Now this interior definitely feels the better of the two in the comparison. In fact, it feels rich and it feels premium. There's this beautiful wedge-shaped dashboard. There's this lovely wooden central console. You have the touchpad over here. You have the control for the command system, which sits on an iPad-like screen on the central console. In fact, the graphics are also really clear. Even in the sun, it doesn't catch glare, so they're easy to see at any time. You have this lovely retro watch in the center. Everything on the inside over here just feels classy. It feels every bit luxury. Both cars come with a sizable equipment list. The XC gets a new in-control touchscreen, which is an improvement over the previous version. The Mercedes may not have a touchscreen, but the graphics are definitely sharper and brighter, and its non-reflective surface makes it clear and distinct always. The XC system is easier to use though. On the kit front, the XC portfolio and the C200 Avantgarde are pretty closely matched, both getting keyless entry and go, engine stop-start, auto headlamps and wipers, and selectable driving modes. The Merc edges ahead, getting a dual sunroof and drowsiness sensor, whilst the Jag does have the advantage of a 360-degree camera around the car. Also rather critically, Mercedes' space-saver spare tire sits on the boot floor, compromising the space on offer, whilst the Jag's is placed unobtrusively under the boot, opening up more room. At the other end of the boot, both carry 2-litre petrol engines, but that's where the similarity ends. They're different on power and performance. This engine is just an absolute delight to drive. I mean, it's punchy and it's exciting. You can't help but keep putting your foot flat down to the floor because every time you do, it just serves you up this giant wave of torque. The XC's engine is pure thrill factor. But the C-Class is no slouch either. It just has a more linear build-up of power. Now, the difference in numbers on papers also shows on the road in flat-out acceleration. The XC does the 0 to 100 in 6.98 seconds, which is a whole second faster than the Merc. And the gap just gets wider after that. Still, the Merc does have an advantage. Now, what helps this engine feel really much better is the gearbox. And whether you dab your foot down or whether you stomp it flat on the floor, it's quick to react and always leaves you in the right gear. With its quick 7-speed gearbox that makes getting a move on much easier, the Merc is right up there with the Jag in the in-gear slogs. In the 20 to 80 run, it's barely 0.2 seconds behind. This top-end XE comes with the option of driving in normal, eco, sport or winter. Now in the normal mode, we noticed that if you do want to get an urgent move on, especially after cruising, that the gearbox will hesitate a bit to get a move on, and then after the hesitation there's a sudden surge of power. But if you put it into sport mode or you use the paddle shifts, then that problem goes away, the gearbox reacts much quicker. Both engines are quite refined, but the Jaguar has the better cabin isolation from all kinds of sounds, be it engine, road or just the world outside. Whilst the way they deliver power is quite different, there are other areas where their differences stand out as well. Now the big difference between the XE and the C really is the steering. I mean, this steering is just so well weighted. So whether you're ambling around at low speeds in the city or cornering harder at higher speeds, I mean, it just serves up the perfect amount of feedback, and it gives you this great sense of security. The steering, along with the amazing body control and perfect weight distribution of the Jag, makes the XE an absolute driver's delight. A few small corners and all I wanted to do was keep driving, preferably up a nice twisty windy ghat. The C-Class, on the other hand, has a very light steering, and though its nose is eager to dart into corners, it just doesn't give you enough feel. Also, when you want to come to a stop, the Jaguar's brakes may feel stronger, but they're quite grabby, so they take a little getting used to. Well, with the job done behind the wheel, it was time to hop into the back seat. Now, the seat pillar that extends all the way back almost to the end of the boot may look really stylish, but what's happened to the design of this car due to that is the fact that this rear door is really large. In fact, not the door, but the top part of it, which extends out. So when you open the door, you sort of have to walk around it and then get into the car, and then you slide sort of backwards from that pillar. So it's a bit difficult getting in. Ingress is not as easy as it is in the C-Class. Well, the seat itself is comfortable here at the back, but it's definitely just for two people because the middle part of the seat is contoured and the central console extends all the way to the back, so there really is very little room for a third passenger over here. You sit quite low, front seat is large, the window line is high, but it's still a very comfortable back seat to be in. That's because the seat itself is comfortable. You've got good under-thigh support, you've got good lumbar support over here. But the best part really is the ride quality. It's just so pliant. It sort of flattens out all the bumps, potholes, doesn't let anything filter in through to the passenger. And as you pick up the pace, it's flat and composed as well. So you don't get tossed around. And long journeys in this back seat will definitely be comfortable ones. What's wonderful about the Jag is the excellent balance of handling and ride. So whether you're behind the wheel or in the back seat, it's an enjoyable experience. The Merc, on the other hand, has its own plus points. Well, this is definitely the more spacious back seat. I have a little more leg room. And neither of the two cars is really meant for three people at the back, but if I were to fit a third person in, they would definitely be more comfortable here because the seat bench is a little flatter. There's more space here for the third person to have leg room between the central console and the seat, and it's wider at the back too. Both these cars have been poles apart from the start, each with their own distinct character, and it's same down to the finish line. Whilst the Jag is the sporty car, the C-Class feels like the Lux limo. Well, this comparison is not exactly par for par in a lot of ways, but let's begin with power, because the XE actually comes with a 238 bhp 2-litre engine, whereas the Merc comes with a 181 bhp 2-litre engine. So there's quite a difference, but they're in this fray together because both of them are the top-spec petrol variants. Well, when put into the fray together, it's definitely the XE that really shines, whether we talk in terms of performance, whether we talk in terms of the way it handles, or whether we talk in terms of ride quality. The XE sets a benchmark. But let's talk about the other big difference, and that's the price. There's almost a 7 lakh rupee difference between the two, with the Merc being a cheaper one, which makes it look like great value, especially when you consider it has the more luxurious and definitely the class-leading interiors. It's got the more spacious backseat as well. But let's consider this. If you are in this segment looking at petrol engines, I would assume that you're not concerned with economics. You're more concerned with driving pleasure and the thrill of being behind the wheel. And if that's the case, the XE is definitely the better car.